Hey everyone, it is Maud Masiak, your host for Unpack with Goey. If you are taking a road trip soon with kids, you will love this episode. I am chatting with my friend Emilie, mom of two and content creator of Love Life Abroad. I take a deep dive in her feed where she tells stories of traveling through Canada. She's a pro of long road trips, and of course, she has a ton of other nuggets throughout the episode. So get ready and let's unpack.
Picture this. You're enjoying a book on the beach, your kids playing in the sand in the background. Wait a second. Let's keep it real here. If you've traveled with kids, you know that picture perfect vacation is rarely the whole story. Welcome to Unpack with Goey, the show where Maud sits down with family travel influencers to break down the feed. We're going behind the perfect aesthetic to find the real reality of traveling with kids, the good, the bad, and the messy. Get the raw, unfiltered tips you won't see on Instagram. It's time to dive in and unpack with Goey.
Hey Emilie, how you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good. I am so excited that you decided to join our podcast today. We've been friends for a while, but I always love to drill you about your travel experience. And there's something about the way you travel with your kids that I know is always inspiring. I am not really an outdoorsy person, you know that, but I love how you always push me outside of my comfort zone. And I know that this episode is going to speak to not only families that do travel outdoors, but also the ones that are like me, maybe wondering, can I even do that? Like, can I go for hikes? Can I go for long road trips with my kids through the wilderness? This is what we're doing with Emilie today from Love Life Abroad. So I recommend to check, obviously, her platforms, but she's here today to answer all of our questions about travel with kids, road trip with kids, and hiking. So let's unpack your feed. This is how I like to start it. I want to talk about the things that are beyond what you talk about publicly. So the first thing I would love to know is there a big misconception about traveling with your kids that you learned to essentially reboot over the years?
Yeah, of course. And I think the introduction you made about our travel with kids, it's exactly the biggest misconception. When I got kids, you start doing research, like the best family-friendly place, kid-friendly place, and it's always theme park, Disney, and things like that. And it's really not what I'm personally interested in, and it's not how we raise our kid. So I think it's one misconception that you don't have to do theme park to travel with your kids. If it's what you love, then just do it. But if it's not your vibe, then there's other alternatives. We prefer to be in nature with our kids. Yeah, you don't need to do theme park or things you don't like just because you have kids.
Yeah, I'm just like you. Honestly, theme parks, I know they are supposed to be kid-friendly, and I know technicality, like all the kid stuff, like high chairs and changing table and whatnot. But I do find that often they are making kids anxious more than anything, like the crowd, the busyness. So, you finish a day in the wild versus a day where they've been overstimulated, hyped up on sugar all day. Is that really like the best kid-friendly experience, or at least parent-friendly experience?
And just for a funny anecdote, so a few years ago, we went to Disneyland in California in part of our road trip. So we did Disneyland and then we went camping and everything. And at the end of the trip, we asked the kids what they preferred. And they're like, camping with mama was the best. So,
well, that's a wake-up call. Like they always tell you like it is. So listen to your kids. So in terms of like your experience, when you start as a young parent, you always have those like, I will never. What is one of those I will never that you had to completely break down, a rule that you let go of as you traveled with them?
It's hard to say. We've never been really big screen families. We didn't do screen for a while during our road trips. We do allow it a little now, but there's specific rules, like it has to be in the afternoon. If we're in the car for 8 hours, then it's just miserable. So they can do a few screen, but we kept the rule for a long time. One thing is like no snack in the car. This lasted 0 minute.
I was about to say, wait, did you ever?
No, I like snacking in the car. The kids like snacking in the car. And often, we do lots of road trips and I do prefer to spend our time adventuring. So often we're going to eat in the car just because we've been in the car sitting. We're not going to go sit in a restaurant and then go back to sit in a car. So we eat in the car. Some people don't like it, but it's how we do. Other than that, I don't know.
I'm trying to think of all the people I've known that have kids, if any of them manage to keep that rule down, even not traveling, because this is kind of a
Yeah.
lifesaver. But yeah, no, it's true. I guess tricky when you rent a car, for example. You know that car rental has a different rule system than your car, and so it gets tricky. Do you have a tips that you usually recommend parents about that?
Well, I don't have a tip, but I have a bad experience.
Okay, yes, you are in the right place, so please do
So
share.
we did a trip with my mom, my sister. My sister has two little kids, and then my two kids. And we rented a car with Turo, and the kids ate a bit in the car. We were really careful, but there was still a little crumbles and stuff. And we went to the beach, and I don't know what happened, but the day before we had to return the car, we had some ants in the car. So yes, so that was not a proud moment. It was really awful. And we ended up having to pay for a big cleaning and everything. So yeah, maybe limit snacks when you're renting a car. I don't
Yeah,
know, like there's trays or some things like that, maybe.
yeah, you're right. No, there's ways to go about it. It's true. I mean, I know we usually put towels down because
Yeah.
you can always have like a towel or something or like a giant
Hmm.
sheet that you can
Yeah.
put down. It limits the problem with the even the car seat, leaving marks and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, ants episode that was pretty extreme. That was pretty extreme.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Not a good.
Lesson learned. That's what traveling with kids is all about anyway, right?
Yeah.
It's like learning your lesson as you go, like
Yeah.
note to self, not do that again.
Yeah. I'm gonna do
Um,
the mistake and I'm gonna share with you so you don't make the same mistakes as I
and
do.
I love that. I feel like when we started to hang out and chit chat and everything, it's like that feeling of having a village. Like, does
Yeah.
this ever happen to you? Yeah, that's totally normal.
Yes.
Do you
Yeah.
have maybe another moment where you were like, no, I'm not going to post that because that doesn't flow.
I do try to be honest and I'll often share, but in text form, just because I will not post anything that embarrass my kids in public. So yes, I have lots of footage for my personal
For the
things that
wedding
we can,
day.
yeah, that
I
we can
call
laugh
them,
about.
yeah.
Yeah, I won't post about it, but yes, like hiking, like sometimes I have to choose my words now. Like they don't like hiking, but they don't mind going on a walk in the woods. So I'm like, oh, let's go on a walk. If I say hiking, we have a crisis. So things like that. But yeah, kids are kids, and like we're adults, we have good moments, we have bad moments. We do have them with kids often, but we have them at home. So it's not really different when we're traveling. It's just in a nicer setting. So we forget about it faster, I guess.
That's a trend. I think that keeps coming back. Like, doing those episodes, I realize, like, among the moms that are traveling, especially, it's like we are not saying that the vacation is going to be easy by any means. It's as moments. But what the stigma is, oh my gosh, those moments are gonna be unsurmountable. It's gonna be the worst because I'm in a public space. Really, you're applying your same parenting, principle. If your kid can behave themselves in a grocery store, they can behave themselves on vacation. You just have to accommodate for like extra tiredness or those little things, but your kid best and it's manageable, right?
Yes, and also as a mom, I think the mental load is a little less when you travel. Like I'm the planner. I plan the trips, but I love it. I really don't mind it. So it's not a mental load for me. But even for my husband, like we travel, yes, we'll have to do maybe a load of laundry, but it's not like all the things piling up. Oh, there's a leak. I don't know, we have to repaint that wall, things like that that we don't have when we're traveling. So I think our bandwidth for little meltdown or things like that is higher because we're a little more chill.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's a valid point, actually. Yeah. I always do feel like I have less to worry about on vacation, mainly because you're in other environments, like you said, like it's not, your chores don't look at you in the face like
Yes.
every single minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what is like one destination throughout your entire travel journey with kids that you feel like kind of was overrated? Like you wouldn't take your kids back again?
Yeah, I usually select the places because I want to go and it end up being fine. Though I will say that for me, it's more the timing. Like one example is we love Banff. We live next to it, but we've been here for 5 years. And I think I went twice, maybe once was with you, and another time that we went in July and August because it's not fun for me. There's too many people. I go in nature to be in nature, not to be waiting in line to go through a hike, not waking up stressful to get a shuttle to go see a lake. So I think it's more the timing. So in the past few years, we've been really traveling. Our big family trip is always in April during shoulder season. It's cheaper, there's less people, and you get really the place to yourself. So I think, yeah, peak season, interesting place, not worth it.
I am 100% behind that. I think it's the most underrated tip you can give for like budget and also sanity saving is to travel against the grain. If everybody is going to the beach, go to the mountain. If everybody goes to the mountain, go to the beach. I love the spring break vacation or spring trip because except if you go to like places like Florida or like the Caribbeans, which are like super, super hot on that time of the year in terms of travel trend, everything else is pretty relaxed. Like I just went to Paris recently and it was not crowded, and I know that the summer crowds are gonna take over the city, so this is one of those, like, you gotta go around. When you have kids, you gotta go around, you gotta find ways to make your life easier, even in the planning phase.
Yeah, exactly. And last April we went to Tofino on Vancouver Island and we did a surf lesson. And the guy was talking to us and he's like, it's really great in the summer, but like there's going to be 300 people on the beach waiting for a lesson. And then we were there and I don't know if we got lucky, but the weather, like it was sunny for the entire week. And the kids were in short and t-shirt. I had a sweater, but we still enjoyed. The water is freezing anyway in the summer. So it's not like we missed out that much on the experience.
On the weather. So I would love to dive into a little bit more about like your particular profile and what you share with everyone, because like I said, you are extremely focused on like sharing all your outdoors and a lot about, road tripping. And I think especially as flying become a little bit more expensive and then all of those intense situations with long lines and everything, it can be an extreme value for everyone. So specifically through Canada, right? Because this is where you're from and this is where you really share your content. So for anyone that is interested in road tripping through Canada, I have done it, so I know a lot about it too, but I definitely want your take absolutely on it. What are 3 things that people should know about planning like a cross-country driving through Canada?
Okay. Well, first, Canada is huge. If you're in the States, like the States is huge too, but it's different in Canada. It's huge, but there is also lots of space in between civilization, if I can say. So it's not rare to have long stretches without cell service, without gas, without food. So you need to be some sort of prepared. If you see a sign like last gas station, just fill up, because a few times it happens that we were really stretching it. And it's not a fun feeling when you're in the middle of nowhere without cell service. And then sometimes I see like on Facebook group, people are like, oh, I'm going to Canada. I have 10 days. Can I go to like Quebec, Montreal, Niagara Falls? And then can I go to the Rockies? Like that is a full summer of trips. So like take a place, enjoy it, and then maybe you can come back another time. And third thing would be there's not just like Quebec, Montreal, and the Rockies that are worth visiting. If you drive across Canada, just don't push through to go to the Rockies. Yes, it's beautiful, it's breathtaking, you're gonna love it, but there's really nice stuff in between in Northern Ontario, in Manitoba, and Saskatchewan that, yes, if you just drive the highway, you won't see them, but if you take your time and go a little off the highway, then you're gonna love it.
Yeah, and we can vouch for Medicine Hat. So we have a little story about that. So about a couple of years ago, we decided to take on this like big, road trip through Canada. It was on my bucket list. I'm so glad I did it. But I wish I knew this like long distance thing for sure, because when it ended up happening, we had like 3 weeks, I believe. And I'm like, sure, 3 weeks, even in the US time frame, it seemed enough, because the thing with the US driving cross country is that you have very fast highways that are pretty straightforward. So you can really get some miles down if you wanted to. But with Canada, you have to also go kind of around to see the cute towns and everything. You have to go around the waters and the lakes. There's a lot of lakes in Canada. For anyone that doesn't know geography, like I did, I guess, I did not realize how many little lakes and water sources there is. And so you have to contour them, and then you have to in order to see towns. And so anyway, long story short, about what? 1.5 week, 2 weeks in, we did not even like 3/4 of the way or something. And so I tell Emilie, I'm never gonna make it to Banff and be back. This is not possible. So we ended up meeting in this town called Medicine Hat. Problem is, Medicine Hat is not really one of the biggest landmark of Canada to visit, I guess. And so everybody was like, why are you going to Medicine Hat? I'm like, because I couldn't make it to Banff.
Well, I did tell you, but you
tell
didn't
me.
listen.
Yes, I was a little stubborn on this. I was like, yeah, we can make it. We've done road trips before. So, lesson learned, everyone. If you crossing Canada, take the time and double it, especially if you do it with a little camper or a van like we did.
Yes. Yeah, and it's like, especially in Northern Ontario, it's undivided, one lane each way. If you're stuck behind a truck, then like you might go 50 kilometers per hour for hours. So it takes time.
Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned earlier that, you're very lax on snacks, and you do give them a little screen times to accommodate longer road trip. Anything you can recommend for parents to keep their kids happy on really long road trips?
Yes. Well, the first thing, I think it's the planning. Usually when we do long road trips, we plan accordingly. If time is too tight, maybe we change our plans, because I don't feel it's worth doing 10 hours a day driving. You're not going to see anything. We could maybe fly and explore something, or we could just go closer. We do many stops. So usually what we try to do is we drive, and we often start early. And it's where we're different. So my family, we're super early birds. So often it happens that we're going to start driving at 5 or 6 a.m. just because it's easier. Kids sleeps a little, and then we get a lot of driving done. Then we stop for a snack. We stop for ice cream in the afternoon. We stop for a museum, a hike. We do some fun stop along the way. Sometimes we do have to do long, boring drive. So for example, a few years ago, I did drive from Quebec to Alberta solo with the kids. And the last stretch, we were in Saskatchewan. We had 800 kilometers to go to get home. So we just sat down and I involved the kids in planning. So it's like we have two options. We can either drive and have a really boring day, but we'll sleep home and we'll get to see Papa. Or we do 2 nights, like we stay over one night, we do 2 days, and we can stop and make fun stops along the way. So we decided to go with option 1, but the kids were on board. They knew it would be a boring day, but they knew what to expect. And it was a fun price at the end that we would be back home. So maybe things like that. But yeah, I do think the mistake is to just try to pack too much and drive too much. And some of the best memories are like, you see a sign on the street like, oh, there's this historic site, or oh, there's a little lake or something, and we stop, and then we end up spending way too much time.
I learned that actually way back in when we did the road trip through Europe, that especially because, you have a lot of nooks and crannies to go visit, and little side of the road that end up really taking like maybe an hour sometimes, even if you didn't realize it would, right? So yeah, it's really giving time even during a road trip. It's really not, I know it sounds super cliche, but it's really not about the destination, it's about the journey. And I love what you said about involving the kids during even the planning phase of the road trip. It's not just about what do you guys want to do, like what do you want to eat or what museum you want to see, but do you want to stop? Do you want to just pull through this
Yeah.
last stretch, you know? Giving them agency in the travel planning resolves a lot of drama, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And they're more likely to be on board with the plan if they had a say in it.
exactly.
And one thing I didn't mention, but one thing we always, either we're camping or we're stopping in a hotel, we try to always have a pool or something like that because it's a fun treat at the end of the night. And if we did a lot, especially like those long days, if we've been driving for many hours, then it's like they can burn up the energy. They have something fun to look forward to it. And we can also relax a bit and not just go to bed.
Make the hotel stop, which can be, like you say, boring on the side of the road, make it fun. You know,
Yeah.
even the restaurant, lots of ways to, without losing too much time on the road, to try to kind of think about like it's essentially everybody during the day should have a little something to look forward
Yeah.
to, right? Okay, so now my next question is something that you know is like super personal because you've lived it with me and I've lived it with you. And so I think it could be really fun for other people to know about. Canada is bear country. Okay, let's just call it like it is. A lot of it, anywhere on the west side. We're talking about like, you know,
Grizzly.
yeah, they're not the little cute brown bears that runs away with pots and pans. There's this thing about going on a hike with kids, knowing already having to deal with everything, and then knowing that there's this ultimate danger that can come through, and I'll have to deal with it, maybe even solo.
Yeah.
So, how do you handle that part? That's something that you have to
Oh,
be conscious about. Yeah.
yeah. And I will be 100% honest here. It still scares me a lot. And especially, yeah, you have your kids, so then you have a responsibility. I love hiking. Sometimes I would love to go by myself, but I don't because I don't feel comfortable and I don't see why do the risk. I do a lot of hiking solo with my kids, but it happens a few times that we just turn around. If we get to the trailhead and it's crowded, then there's no problem. We see people. It's fine. But a few times we got there, we're the only one in the parking lot, and then I start walking, and then I get into my head. It's like, that's not fun for anybody. I'm in my head. I'm so like, and then you hear a sound, and it's like, what's happening? So I did turn around a few times. It's not worth the risk. But like I said, if you go to Banff in July and August, the likeliness of you being alone on a trail is pretty small. Always go with bear spray, even if it's a popular trail. One example is we were in Glacier National Park in Montana a few years ago in a small trail, St. Mary's Fall, I think. It's super popular. There were so many people on the trail. Well, we saw a grizzly bear walking down on the trail. So it doesn't mean that because you do just short hikes that you won't see bears. It's rare. Usually, like kids are so loud also that usually what's scary is when you surprise them. So it's why when you do like trail running or things like that, it can be really dangerous. But with kids, they're so loud that usually the bears hears you first. But yeah, bear spray, know how to use it. And just use your common sense. And we always tell the kids, I need to see you. You need to be close enough to me that I see you and I can protect you, if I can say. And don't be afraid to change your mind if you don't feel comfortable, because at the end of the day, if you go hiking, it's to have fun. And if you're not having fun, it's really not worth it.
100%. Yes, the most important advice here. If your gut feeling says, I shouldn't be doing this, you're probably right.
This is something that I do think about all the time. A really popular grizzly bear in Banff just went out of hibernation. So it's time to think about that again.
Do you do
Season has started.
Yeah, do you do like winter hike? Do you feel like those are more relaxing therefore?
Yes, that is true. So there's still a risk in the sense of like bears can still wake up. But yes, it's a little less. I think about it less. I still bring my bear spray, and we still have the same rule. Like you don't go run off and I cannot see you, but it's a little less stressful than in the spring or like in the fall when you know bears are closer and they're eating and getting ready for hibernation. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's also a good tip. Like maybe try to plan if you're new to the
Mm-hmm.
hiking, to the using the bear spray and all that, maybe put your tents on the side and try to plan your hike during times that they are not necessarily like right there, ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. And there's time where they're higher in the mountains, others like when they're in the spring, because it's still frozen at the top, then they're going to be usually lower. So yeah, things
Yeah.
to think about.
So I don't know if everybody knows that about you, but so you're from Canada, but your husband
Yeah.
is actually from the US. And so,
Yes.
yeah, you have like a double culture, right? And
Yeah.
so it brings a kind of a cool and interesting viewpoint on probably on how you travel. And I would love to know like your experience, especially for road trips, hiking, and your difference between Canada and the US.
Canada's population is about the same as California, and California is smaller than Alberta. So you can put things in perspective. So when we do drive in the US, traffic is one thing that I am not used to, especially here. Like I know in Toronto, there's a lot of traffic and super populated, but yeah, now in the Western Canada, yeah, traffic is different. The one thing also is when you do cross the border and stuff, it's like insurance. That is something that is really important to have, and that sometimes some people don't think about. And also I do lots of solo road trips with my kids. So just when you cross the border, either way, you need a letter that says that your spouse is okay with you going to another country with your kids. So those are, yeah, two things to really think about. But other than that, yeah, people, the distance, US it's huge. There's big distance, but I think you get more things within a certain distance that you might get in Canada. So yeah, the planning is a little different.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. This is something I didn't know until I actually traveled to Canada too. I never really thought about it honestly that much, but Canada being literally the width of the US and super large in length, I never thought that the vibe would be completely different. I thought it was so similar. I knew that there was difference in culture, but like in terms, like you say, people on the road, people in the towns, stores, everything. It's very much, except like in some specific cities, there's some places in Canada where you don't have cities for hours and
Yeah.
hours. So, except in those cities, it is very empty. It does have that emptiness feel. And for some people that love the outdoors, and like you, for example, that love to be out without too much people and everything, I think it's giving you a sense of comfort and relaxation, because when you drive through those mountains, you do feel like you're in the middle of nowhere in a good way. Like it's
Yeah.
very relaxing. But if you do want the buzz and the busy life, like honestly, the road trip, like this is my personal opinion, the road trip through Canada is probably not the best. I would fly to the different points.
Well, yeah, especially if you're short on time, and if you want a city vibe, then it might not be ideal. Yeah, because yes, you can have like a big stretch with only small little towns. I would recommend, yeah, maybe staying more on the East Coast, and then you can have like, let's say like the Eastern Township we did last summer, in near Montreal. Then you have lots of little villages. You can drive, but you could even just bike across all of them. So this is more something, if you want short distance with a lot of things to do, might be best than a cross Canada road trip.
Quebec, this is a cool road trip. South north is much more manageable. We're talking about like 4 hours or whatever between Montreal
Yeah.
and Quebec City. And then it gets a little intense. I'm actually planning a trip to Nova Scotia for the summer. And it gets a
Okay.
little intense when you start getting to Nova Scotia or to Prince Edward Island. There is a huge gap, like between Montreal to Quebec City versus going, let's say, from Quebec City to Prince Edward Island or to Nova Scotia. We're talking about 12 hours drive versus
Yeah.
on the map, it doesn't look that far. This is like what gets me all the time in Canada. It's the maps. It's not so much like the planning, because you start putting your destination and you see the amount of time. It's the maps. It's like the way the maps are made, it feels like Nova Scotia is literally a few hours from Vermont, a few hours from, Quebec City or Montreal, but it's not. It's days.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. And then, yeah, I did see a post. Someone's like, oh, I have 1 week. Can I do Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Island?
That's a
Like,
lot.
you could, but
You literally
you
spend
won't.
your day on the road. I don't want to discount the West Coast though, because like we're talking a lot about, Quebec, because this is where you're from, and I
Yeah.
love Quebec. It is my little French oasis when I live in US, so I love that. But in terms of the West Side, which,
Yeah.
it's beautiful. Like if you've
Oh,
never
I
been,
love it.
yes, never been to Vancouver, go. It's really cool. We've done it together. It was really fun. And then Victoria is one of my favorites, honestly. I've absolutely loved Victoria. It's all about food and art and walkability. So
Yes, it's one of the most walkable cities in Canada, I
in
think. Yeah.
Canada, I didn't know that. Okay, yeah, so that's really cool. Yeah,
I did see something. It's like, yes,
yeah, and it
one of
is.
the good ones.
And they have amazing high teas. If you're into food, it's really cool. If we think like west side of
Yeah.
Canada, if people had one day, where should they go? Because you live like right on the edge of that west side of
Yes.
Canada, right? So
Yes.
where
Yeah.
should they go?
Well, first, I hope you don't have just 1 day because it's not long enough. But let's say you have an extra day, you don't know. It really depends on where you land because like the major international airports is Calgary or Vancouver, but it's almost like it's 900 kilometers between those two. So if you land in Vancouver, then I would recommend doing the Sea to Sky Highway. So it's a beautiful drive that goes from North Vancouver to Whistler. And there's a lot of small little stops along the way. If you're a fan of Virgin River, then the waterfall, then it's the Shannon Falls in Squamish. So you can see it from the highway. If you land in Calgary, then I would recommend, a day trip to Banff. And if you have the time, drive a bit on the Iceville Parkway, which is the most beautiful drive in the world.
So those
It is really beautiful.
that whole region is. I mean, you've got to do it once at least. Even if you're not a hiker, you got to do it once at least.
The
I'm
view
good with it.
is just really also calming.
Yeah. And big tip, do bring a first aid kit along because there is not a lot of spots in between.
For a pharmacy.
Yes, if your kid is falling or scrapes or whatever. This is a lesson learned on my part, so I'm sharing that with you guys.
Yeah.
Those road trips that you mentioned, like, are they really like day trips or they would be tight to fit in?
Yeah. So the Sea to Sky Highway, I think it's if you don't really stop, it's 2 hours. So you could like start early and then go and then drive back in a day. Yes, you could. The Iceville Parkway, if you go up to Jasper, then it's a good 4 hours without any stop. So I wouldn't really recommend the day trip, but you can stop to the glacier and turn around or spend an overnight in Jasper.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I really hope that everybody that is listening is going to get that kind of road trip bug. I think it's such a great way to experience a country differently. I mean, there's things you experience during road trips that you can't get from just flying in or from just staying in the cities. Although it was a lot of lesson learned during that road trip we took across Canada, we did feel at the end of it that we experienced Canada. I felt like I could say, I visited Canada. Like I've seen the cities, I've seen the little towns. I experienced like a good range of things.
Yes. Yeah. It is nice to feel also you're on control of your schedule. I love traveling, but I do hate everything about flying. Not that I'm scared of flying. It's just like the airport is not necessarily close to your house. You have to drive. You have to be there 2 or 3 hours in advance. Then there's delays. You have no control over. Then they lose or not your baggage. Then you arrive on time or not. There's a layover. So it's exhausting.
Even
Yeah,
for professional travelers like you, it is. No, I mean, it's important for people to understand that when we say that we know how to travel, we know how to minimize friction,
it's a
but
good way to put it. Yeah.
yeah, but baggage get lost, tantrum happens.
Jet lag is hard.
Jet lag is hard for everyone. Even after traveling for all these years, it's still
Oh
an
yeah,
adjustment. It's all.
I haven't found a magic recipe for that.
I don't think there is. Well, that's a perfect transition, actually, talking
Okay.
about like being true about
Hmm.
our confession corner. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So, what is the most chaotic moment that made you think why are we doing this? Like, why are we putting us through this torture?
Okay, well, I have a really good one. So, 2 years ago, we planned a trip to Iceland, and I was looking at flights from Calgary to Iceland, and it was so expensive, and I didn't want to spend $8,000 just on flights. So, anyway, I found that there's a low-cost airline that goes from Toronto to Iceland, and then we were able to get a flight from Calgary to Toronto, two separate flights. So, we had an overnight in Toronto. So at the end of the day, it took us forever to get to Iceland. We get there, tired, jet lag at 4 a.m. We had to wait for 4 hours to get our camper van. And we were waiting outside. We couldn't get a coffee. We couldn't get anything. The doors kept opening and it was snowing because we travel in April, and we're all tired. My husband is like, I have one vacation per year. Like, why are we doing that? It was such a bad start. We got the camper van and we could barely stay awake. We found a campground. I think we were able to get there at noon. And people don't say to take a nap to fight jet lag. Well, we took a 4 hour nap in the afternoon. But then it like resetted everything. And we were able the next day to enjoy our trip. And it was a really wonderful trip. But the first day, I think my husband would have been okay to say, like, let's fly back home.
That is why sometimes the planner is in charge. You know what it took to get there, and you're not about to give that up.
Oh, yeah, that was rough. That was
Yeah.
rough. But
No,
it
I
was
get
worth
it.
it.
I bet. No, I mean, yeah, I mean, you told me many times about your trip to Iceland. That could be a whole episode entirely, but yeah, it's definitely one of those moments where you're like, okay,
Yeah.
should we plan differently next time? I will never promote all inclusive. I think they prevent authenticity, honestly, but there's those moments like that first day after you go through hell like this.
Yeah.
It's a good one. What is one thing you wish you knew before you started to travel with your
Well,
kids?
I think I said it at the start of the episode, but it's really like if you're only researching kids-friendly places on Google, you might miss out on a lot of things. And it's not because your kids are kids that they cannot enjoy similar things as you. So I think it really depends on the family. But yeah, you don't have to do the top 10 kids-friendly things just because Google's told you those were kids-friendly places.
And also, like a little bit of a fun fact being in the industry, I can tell
Mhm.
you those locations are typically like heavy loaded in PR.
Mhm.
So they're not necessarily the best, they're just the best at marketing. This is
That is
why,
a fair point.
yeah, this is why we developed GUI, right? It's like it's in order to bypass all that. And it goes the same in some extent. There is still good accounts, on
Oh
social
yeah.
media that promotes like authentic stuff, but there has been also a trend where some accounts on social media, unfortunately, are promoting for the sake of money. This is a job, after all, that's how they make a living. And so sometimes one can wonder, like, the authenticity of the value of that. So you always have to do your research and, like,
Yeah.
kind of dig a little deeper than what's on the surface. I guess that's what you were
Yeah.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. What is one thing you could share with us that you
Yeah.
know is an unpopular opinion?
Yeah. Well, I think like all these things about like what's the point of traveling with kids they're not going to remember. I just think it's the silliest thing. It's the same thing like I read to my kids since they're baby, they're not going to remember their books. But first it brings me joy to travel with my kids. I think we have really great bonding moments. And if even if they don't remember where we went, then they're going to remember other things. It's also gonna change their perspective. We go to museum, we do nature, so maybe they're gonna like nature hiking or camping when they grow up, and it's because we introduce it to them. Maybe they're gonna love languages because we went to different countries, or food, we introduce them to new food. So I think even if at the end of the day they don't remember anything from any trip, I think their mentality and their human being will remember the way they grow up, if it makes sense. So yeah,
Yeah, 100%. I
that's my
mean,
take on it.
it's like you put your kids in certain activities, like, I don't know, piano or whatever, sports. They may not become the next Mozart or the next Olympian champion.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of parents necessarily put their kids in those activities for that purpose. I mean, maybe some, but not most of us. But we still do it. We still do it because that experience at that moment of their life is going to shape who they are as a person. And so travel is just like that. You invest hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars in extracurricular activity every year. Travel is an extracurricular activity because it does, like you say, bring them language awareness, social skills, different culture awareness, and that's priceless, really.
Yeah, exactly. And then one last thing I can add is there's also this new trend about like, I'm not going to touristic places. And I also think I do love to visit things that are not necessarily just the hype or the tourists, but touristic places are touristic for a reason. And if I go to Paris, I'm going to go see the Eiffel Tower because, you know, you're there and why not? So I think it's good to do a mix of touristic stuff and then a little lesser known thing. But if you're just doing lesser known thing, then you're missing out as much as if you were just doing touristic stuff.
Yeah, totally
Balance
makes
is
sense to
key.
me. Yeah, so thank you so much for coming on today and sharing all of that. I really feel like parents, especially new parents, like the ones that have littles and that are kind of debating, like, should I take this long road trip? Should I just fly in? Should I not go take those long hikes because, it's my kid is under 2, my kid is under 5, whatever is your limit at that point.
Yeah.
You started to travel with your kids. They were very young. Like,
Yes, they
yeah.
were young and then we adapt. And same with hiking. We started with little ones. It's like, I remember it's so funny because a few weeks ago we went to Kimberley in British Columbia and I did this little hike. It's like it's a walk to a waterfall, but it's more like a road stop. It's 10 minutes. But we did it 5 years ago with the kids. And I remember I'm like, I think it was like our afternoon activity to see that waterfall and it took forever. But it's like 500 steps. I don't know. It was really close. So I think it's where people can, the mistakes they make is like they don't adapt to the kids. So we do things we like, but we still adapt. I'm not going to bring my kids on a 10-kilometer hike that it's just for a viewpoint. They don't care about nice view. What they want is to be able to throw rocks in the river or climb a rock. So I'm going to choose where everyone can be happy. And I think it's what makes it a good trip or a bad trip.
Nothing is a limit. Everything is just different and adapted
Yeah,
to the kids. So
exactly.
yeah, and you guys can all see that on her platform at Love Life Abroad, and I really recommend you guys to check it out and see how she manages it all because it's pretty cool. I have this
Yeah.
rapid fire thing I like to do.
Okay.
Don't
Okay.
overthink it, just give it me straight and just share your opinion. No judgment here.
Okay.
All right, so best place for kids.
In nature.
I should have guessed this one. A snack MVP that they can smash all over the car.
I do love doing energy balls when I have time, or we're a big fan of like charcuterie boards, just cheese and meat and stuff all in a.
Is that even a snack?
It's a
It is.
snack, a lunch, a dinner, breakfast. Why not?
Oh, that's hilarious. No, yeah. And I have done that actually. I have packed charcuterie board for train rides.
Oh yeah.
You do feel like you're in a little bit of the Orient Express when you bring your own charcuterie board with your
Yeah.
kids in a train
Well, a
ride.
charcuterie bento box, we can
Yeah,
say.
exactly. And maybe a little wine in the
Why
mommy
not
water
exactly?
bottle.
Always room in my backpack.
Just make it happen. A destination you never go back to.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's
Really
always a
don't
tough
know.
one. This.
At some place, I like everywhere, I guess.
Okay, so I'll give you a joker on this one. All right.
Okay.
One thing you always overpack.
Snacks and clothes. I don't know. We always end up wearing the same thing. So if you look at my pictures, yeah, you'll see. But yeah, clothes, they're always not touched.
That's a good thing for when you come back in laundry and all that. Also, the bears, they don't care about fashion, right? So
No, exactly.
that's the advantage. And the last but not least, are you team plan it or wing it?
So I'm really in the middle.
Okay.
I spend way too much time researching things and I love it. I have a spreadsheet or a Google sheet or whatever sheet, but I rarely plan the days, and you know that. I love to have options, but I don't feel comfortable having all my days booked out in advance. Sometimes we do have to book for some attraction and it makes me anxious, I guess.
It comes back to the whole thing, like adapting for kids and everything. And so I get the anxiety because you wake up that day, you don't know if your kids are gonna be in a mood to go visit this or that. What if it rains? What if it's like a full on, like I'm sick? And then you commit. You commit to those activities, the payments, things like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, the anxiety of planning each aspects of the day, although I am definitely Team Planet. Everybody that knows me knows that. I do understand and I do feel a little bit of that anxiety when I overplan my day with activities that are non-refundable or like that you clearly shouldn't be canceling, like small businesses that count on you and things like that.
Yes.
So yeah, so I totally get that for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for spending this time with me, Emilie. It's always a pleasure, and I can't wait for our next adventure this summer.
Thank you so much. It was great. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.